So, all right, so we're on this topic now of wallets and nodes. So, you've got the different wallets out there. You can use your neutrino wallets, and then you've got those wallets that act a little bit more like a remote control for your node that's back home. But another idea is this idea of running the node on the phone. So on this topic, we've got Phil Chen from HTC, smartphone to crypto phone, Bitcoin on mobile.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Hi, my name is Phil Chen. Uh, I run this project called the HTC Exodus. And up there, it was sold to a company called Barnes& and Noble in the States. Um, and then shortly after that, 2007, I joined HTC. And I was one of the first product managers to build the first Android phone that we launched in 2008. In HTC, we did really well 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then we had a downturn, 13, 14. But then at the end of 14, I started this thing called the Vive, which is a VR headset. Um, but then I also left HTC then because I had seen the biggest force that in my lifetime with mobile to see how it changed people's lives, how it gave access to information. This whole idea of the promise of the internet that most of us, I think, joined this movement. But then in 2014, I joined a fund called Horizons Ventures. It's a venture fund based in Hong Kong. And being a technologist and now into venture capitalist and being an entrepreneur, I wanted to disrupt more of the incumbents. And Horizons had an incredible portfolio of investments, including companies like Siri that got acquired by Apple, DeepMind that got acquired by Google. And from a returns perspective, it was incredible, right? But from a vision perspective, there was a mismatch because I came into this industry to disrupt the incumbents, to sort of rebalance the power. But what happened, it was we would invest. And what struck me the most, what I found most interesting in those 4 or 5 years of investing is every single vertical you can think about, from autonomous drivings to robotics to artificial intelligence, to fintech to future foods, it was, still dominated by the same players, still dominated by the Google, the Facebooks, and in pharma or in food, the same big companies, except for one, right? And which is, I think, all the reason why we're all here, and except for things like Bitcoin and other public blockchains. That was the space that I found most interesting. And the best opportunity for us to contribute to and inherit and continue this vision and this promise of the internet. And so HTC is a corporation, right? But when I went back and says, hey, I want to build this thing and incubate this thing, I was also having been, in the company for, 7, 8 years from 2007 to 14, and then in venture investing, I told them about this vision. I told them that there was this bigger goal, right? And one of the bigger goals that I want to talk about today is UBF, right? Why having this hardware wallet built into a smartphone, which we call a crypto phone, is the beginnings of this thing called universal access to basic finance. And the second thing I want to tell you about is, what are we doing in this space? What are we contributing to this whole ecosystem, right? And finally, how you can join us, how you can help us. And so it starts back again in 2008. We started this, we built the first Android phone. And what I find very ironic and interesting at the same time is we launched the first Android phone September of 2008. And as many of you, as all of you know, the first Bitcoin was launched January of 2009. And when we launched the first Android phone, we thought, hey, we were excited because it was the first open source mobile phone, right? We were the inheritors of, pushing this ideal of the internet, free information, exchange of ideas. But as we all know, this Android direction has completely been hijacked into something else. It's been completely hijacked into owning your data, owning more and more of and taking away more and more of our privacy, right? And that's why 10 years later, we launched the Exodus in 2018. That was the Exodus 1. And, what I find interesting, Android, September, Bitcoin, which is, I think, the real revolution behind this whole thing that we're about with decentralized public blockchains. I didn't know about it till 2015, right? And that was the kind of like the quiet revolution that got us to start wanting to build this. And so we took the idea of private keys, something so simple. I still remember sitting down with the team. I was still a venture capitalist. I sat down and says, hey, I want to build a phone that empowers people to own their private keys. And their feedback was, oh, that's a cool feature. And my feedback and my pushback was, and that literally is the misunderstanding, because it's not just a feature, it's a foundational principle that bleeds into everything we do. And that one principle, of course, is what we do. We build a hardware wallet, this secure area that's separate in the phone, that's separate from Android, that holds your private keys. Everything flows out of that. That first time that you own a private key is the first time anybody in this room gets to own something yourself, a digital asset that you own, that no institution, no government, no anybody can take away from you. And so that's what we call a crypto phone. A crypto phone simply is a hardware wallet built into a smartphone. And here you can see, the Android world, of course, it's great at the same time because it allows us to do so many things. It's incredible to think about how many things you can do on a smartphone today. But what we've done is we've used something called the ARM Trust Zone, which is a secure enclave or a secure element within the chip that's separate, again, from Android. And this crypto phone basically is it's secure because it's not connected to the internet, right? And here, just quickly, I want to show you. But I do, of course, this is not the best demo I can show you from this far away. I do want to encourage you to go upstairs to the second floor. At the end of the booth, we have Lawrence, Ryan, product managers, to show you. And this is what we call a secure UI, right? This is the opening page, where you punch in your passcode. And you can see here that I can't pull down, the Android interface can't be pulled down, right? And this proves that it's completely separate from Android. That's what's kind of segregated from the Android unsecure world. And so what does it allow you to do? Once you have this simple idea of having your private keys on mobile, having Bitcoin on mobile, having Lightning payments on mobiles, you could do basically three things that we want to talk about. First, you can look after your own money, right? Of course, that's what we do with the Secure Enclave. It stores and protects your private keys, and of course, that means storing your Bitcoin. Number two it allows you to pay for things, and that's why we're here, right? We're here to help and contribute to the Lightning Network for you to start paying things. We were just had things privately. And finally, now with stable coins, you can start lending and borrowing. And so when you put that all together, right, right now directly on the phone, which we can demo again for you upstairs, is you can go directly input your bank card, directly on the phone, go from fiat to crypto. So when you put that all together, you can buy, you can sell, you can send, you can receive, you can trade, you can lend, and you can borrow. And what does that make you, right? Voila, you're a bank. You become your own handheld bank. You've become a device in your pocket that has everything that a traditional bank would do. And we find that universal access to basic finance, those are the beginnings and the prototypes of empowering every person to become their own bank. And so, of course, these are some case studies I think you're very familiar with. Remittance is, one of the big applications. There were so many kind of middlemen in between when you want to transfer money through borders. I live in Hong Kong, and one of the biggest remittance corridors between Hong Kong and the Philippines. And Hong Kong is one of the most efficient financial markets. And then even in those places, you still need to pay 3-4% remittance fees, right? And the remittance Bitcoin companies there in Hong Kong can cut that in half. And that is already the most efficient financial market, let alone the more inefficient, more inaccessible ones. I'm not going to show this because I'll make you go upstairs and try the secure UI demo and just to show you how we've kind of toggled between the secure world, the unsecure world, and how we protect your private keys. And then, of course, the next important question is what happens when you lose your phone, right? And it was interesting. There was a Bitcoin a journalist that asked me this trick question because they said they had asked a Chinese manufacturer about their crypto phone. It says, what happens when they lose their phones? What happens to their private keys? And that manufacturer says, oh, that's easy. We back up your keys in the cloud, right? And obviously, then they were completely caught red-handed. I mean, they didn't even know that they answered the question completely kind of counter-cultural to this fundamental principle. And so when you send you this phone, we don't have your keys, right? So what we call something called, we can call it social bailout, we call it social key recovery. It's something that, when you set up your wallet, we'll split your keys into 5 parts. You can share it with 5 of your friends and family. All they have to do is download an app, and they'll keep 1 in the 5. So when you lose your phone, you can't call us, right? Because we don't have it backed up. And so, but you call your 5 friends, and you can recover your keys. You can recover your private keys from 3 out of the 5 shares. And this is one way we're contributing to the community. We've open sourced that, right? And that's the GitHub address. We got in some, crypto community to support this. Vitalik, Charlie Lee. But today, the new thing we want to talk about is the Exodus 1S. And I'm really, really excited about this because the Exodus 1 was around $700. This new one we're launching today is less than a third of that price. And again, go upstairs, try it. But we have more cool things to talk about today, right? Something I'm really, really excited about today is this phone will run a full Bitcoin node. And just to show you right now, this is my my full node I'm running right now as we speak. You can see 99%. It's not fully synced because I didn't run it throughout the day today. But as of right now, the full node is 262.611 gigs. And I'll just press play and we'll sync it again. Go upstairs and try it. And so that's available now, right? And thanks to Lawrence from Blockstream that helped us with AV Core. We work with the community on this. And of course, we have some Lightning stuff, right? Neutrino is coming soon. We want to work with Laulu and Alex with the team. Again, they helped us today in many of the L&D implementations. But one of the things you can see, help app developers make better wallets. All the security privacy benefits of a Bitcoin full node. Store keys in the secure hardware. Like, we want to learn from the community if that's something that you want, because right now L&D is not supported for hardware wallets, right? The private keys are not in the hardware wallets, or in our case, the secure enclave. That's something we would love to do, but we would love to hear back from you if this is something that the community needs. And if we can add value, we're going to do it. So this is the price, right? This is a third of $700, very accessible price. Those are in euros and in pounds. Go get it right now. But the last thing I want to say is we do need your help, right? There's so many things that we can partner with you, right? So what we've done is empower you to own your private keys. It empowers you to be your own bank. But then you're not just a bank, right? We're actually a bank with an SDK. And this SDK will allow you to use our hardware to sign transactions. And so we want to work with everybody. We want to work with ATMs, with Exchange, with Lightning apps, with remittance, with POS for merchants, lending, borrowing platforms. We have an SDK that we can together build a much, much better bank together. Thank you. Go to htcexodus.com and ask my Twitter feed.